Joining us here, as promised, in the living room is Mr. Thomas Lester, who is the archivist and records manager for the Archdiocese of Boston and the author of this book that I was telling you about, Catholic Boston, which is available from Arcadia Publishing. Tom, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here in the living room. And, you know, it's rare that you get to meet an archivist.
We don't emerge from the dusty archive very often.
But you did today to be with us. And I got to tell you, I love a bow tie.
Oh, thank you.
And you do often wear a bow tie. It's very distinctive when you do emerge from the archives.
When you're leaning over the books all day, it stays out of the way.
So there's a practical purpose for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, again, thank you for being with us. And can I just ask you first, because, as I say, you have an unusual but a very important occupation. How is it that you prepare to do this kind of work, taking care of the archives of the Archdiocese and the many records?
Well, in terms of my background,
I
started studying history probably when I was about 10 years old. I was actually interested in the American Civil War to start. And so from that point forward, I was always reading. And then as my education progressed, my undergraduate work, I started working in archives, doing research for papers and other projects, and just being engaged with the original resources, old manuscripts, paintings, photographs, and all the different materials we work with on a day-to-day basis. That really inspired me to move into that area of work. And I pursued that into graduate school and completed my Master's in Library Science and a Master's in History. So I still got to work towards both ends there.
Now, I'd like to talk about the actual archives and records of the Archdiocese, because the Archdiocese of Boston is one of the great Catholic communities of this country and has a really incredible history. But first of all, the book. You've made it easy for people to kind of begin to delve into the history. Can you tell us about what prompted you to put this book together and what people can find in here, Catholic Boston?
So actually the publisher contacted me, and I found out later on that this was a topic they had been hoping to add to the series for a number of years, and we're just looking for someone who had the prior knowledge and the access to the archives in Boston who could actually pursue it and put it together for them. So
this is part of a series?
Yes, the Images of America series. You'll find there are books on different neighborhoods in Boston, different institutions, I believe some colleges and universities, and you'll find them everywhere across the country.
And this is available from arcadiapublishing.com. If you'd like a copy, you can have your own and learn more about Catholic Boston in this great series. But back to the archives. So tell us what would be contained, for example, in the archives of a great archdiocese like our own.
So our records actually precede the diocese. It was established in 1808, but we have records going back before then. For instance, our sacramental records go back to 1789, and the first priest who said the first public Catholic Mass in Boston in 1788, he started recording baptisms and marriages in a book. So we hold older records like that. Some of the early priests who came and served as missionaries, we have some of their papers, dating back to about the mid-18th century. We also have paintings, religious objects. We have publications, a reference collection. It's really a mix, old film reels, photographs, photograph negatives. So we're really working with all different formats on a day-to-day basis.
Now, I'm sure it's different in varying dioceses, but here in the Archdiocese of Boston, if people are local, is it possible to visit, to make an appointment, to go through some of these great treasures?
Yeah, absolutely. We are open to the public Monday through Friday from 10 to 3:30. We do ask that people make an appointment in advance. That way we make sure we have the materials on hand for them to look at. Sometimes things are out to be scanned or repaired. And we also just want to discuss their projects with them so we can do research and become knowledgeable ourselves about what they're working on and how we can best help them and make as many materials available to them as we can.
And you've been in this work for the Archdiocese for how long?
Just over 4 years now.
4 years. In that time, you must have discovered some incredible treasures. Can you tell us about a couple of them?
Absolutely, absolutely. Obviously the earliest records from the first priest who said the first Mass, that really means something. That's really the sort of formal foundation of the Catholic community here. We found some old prints of Bishop Chevreuse that were printed the year of his death. That was actually printed in Paris and ended up here somehow. And they're just some neat personal items. We found some papers belonging to Cardinal O'Connell a few weeks ago, and there were autographed portraits of himself that he would give as gifts. We also found in the stacks several boxes of film reels. So we have over 100 film reels of events that we've started to turn into a digital format so we can share those with people. And that, seeing the images in this book, seeing people moving around on film, I think really shows what the community was like more than just reading a paper document. So we're really excited to bring more of that to the public.
I'm sure. And speaking of Cardinal O'Connell, he is pictured here standing at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross, which is in the process of being renovated right now. So we're always renovating and moving forward, but it's always great to look back and to understand where we came from and the history of, for example, Catholic Boston. So if people would like to get a copy of this book, they just go to...
They can visit arcadiapublishing.com, which is the publisher, and you can buy it directly from them and see the other titles they have on offer. It's available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and local bookstores as well. And also, if anyone visits the Pastoral Center gift shop, they have signed copies there.
There you go, 66 Brooks Drive in Braintree, Massachusetts. Thomas P. Lester, archivist and records manager for the Archdiocese of Boston. Thank you so much,
Oh, thank you.
Thomas, for joining us here.